Hey folks, welcome back into Kitchen Table Talks here on thepulsenetwork.com. I am Tyler Pyron. It's time for the Biz Filings Question of the Week. They posted up on the Facebook page. Well, you have the opportunity right now to ask Chris Brogan, and you know what? Deb Rocks did exactly that. So she says, "Hi Chris, I have a question. What are some of the best strategies for mentoring young entrepreneurial types who want to learn new business skills, but who don't yet have a particular passion or expertise?" So Chris, what is your answer to that for this week's Biz Filings Question of the Week?
I'm a little thrown by the question in one way, because I'm a little thrown by the phrase entrepreneurial types who don't have a passion. That's like saying, how do you get a guy who's really into bicycles who doesn't ride bicycles or something like that? I mean, it's just way off. How do you teach sharks to fly? Entrepreneurs, that is why they're entrepreneurs, because they have a passion for messing with things. There's like a fork in the road, and when Yogi Berra said it best: when you see a fork in the road, take it. And there are people who are very willing to sit at a cubicle. There are a ton of people who are just so happy to show up and have a job. And then there are idiots, complete foolish idiots who think the best idea in the world is to mess with things that already exist and to sell things that no one knows they want yet. I'm thinking of Headblade, Joe. I'm thinking of who in their right mind said, you know what we should do is hook a razor blade to our finger to shave our head because it's better that way. No one needs that. We all were doing it with Bics before, I mean, we all like the idea of carrot peeling the top of our skull off, and yet Headblade comes around, So that's the first part of your question, Deb, is that's hard. If it's an entrepreneurial type who doesn't have a passion, that means they're accidentally dead. They're a corpse. The second part of it, though, how do you mentor them? Honestly, do you know what entrepreneurs need more than anything? They need the interface part. They need the part that says, here's how you work with the people to execute an idea and make it run. Because what entrepreneurs do really well is go, wee! And what they do really bad is remember where they're going to land and not on the broken glass. That's my answer, and then over to whoever we're supposed to go to. Joe?
Bob, I believe, is actually...
Bob, let's go to Bob.
I, like Chris, also had trouble getting my head around that because I was trying to think of someone being entrepreneurial and not having a passion for something first. Now, I guess it's possible for someone to say, I really want to get into business. I want to create something, or I want to move something, I want to blah, blah, blah. But I don't really know what it is. But it's hard for me to picture that because typically it is the other way around. So I guess if I was going to answer that first part of the question, I'd say, first, find something that you really are passionate about. And I know we often have the back and forth. Well, do you really need passion to be in business? Well, no, I don't think you necessarily have to have passion for a particular product. I mean, you can, for example, if you, I'm just trying to think of something. You don't necessarily have to, if you sell shovels, you don't necessarily have to be in love with shovels. But you do have to be in love with the process of somehow providing value to someone and what have you, or creating a business that you can then sell, or creating a business not to, what have you. I think there has to be some passion in there first. So if you can find something you're passionate about and find a way to bring that passion to the marketplace, I think you're on the right track. Then I think the key thing is letting them know that regardless of how passionate they are about a product or service they eventually get passionate about, they are still in the business of selling that product or service. Just like the lawyer is in the business of selling legal services. The accountant is in the business of selling accounting services, because without that, no matter how good you are at something, you're not going to be able to provide value to that person. Very quickly, though, because I don't want to hog up all the time, I think here's the thing, too. Get that get that mentorship by building a team around you. If you're a young entrepreneur, there are others around you can find who have experience. Reach out to them and get them on your sort of board of directors, so to speak, so that you don't have to reinvent wheels. And of course, anybody who wants to be an entrepreneur ever, I'm going to say to get The Barefoot Executive by Carrie Wilkerson, because it's such a fantastic book. They need to have the business plan you guys put together. Those are just the basics of what they need to do.
So for some reason, I got something completely different out of this question than how the two of you saw it. And what I mean by that is, I can't imagine someone with someone that's an entrepreneur and knowing that early how they need to be mentored. And what I mean by that is, we've all, again, we're on the whole book thing, but we've all read that book that discusses, and it's Michael Gerber, the E-Myth Revisited. There's so many parts of being an entrepreneur: the technician, the manager, and there's another part that I can't come up with off the top of my head.
Is this the Rick Perry show today? We keep starting and then going, at the end.
Apparently so. But the point I was trying to make is I also feel like observation might be the most important part of this question. And what I mean by that is, let's say, just for example, that you're a teacher, which also is a mentor, and you observe that someone that you're following or in the workplace with has a love for music, and they're very young. Let's say this is a young student. You could take the time to show that student how music translates into business. If you really do like business or music, and it's not just about performance, because so few musicians make it to that performance level, but there's sound engineering, there's so many different parts of that interest that there's got to be a way. That's what I took the mentoring part as. Help them find a way to take those interests, no matter what they might be, and discover what their strength is. Is it as an entrepreneur? Is it as a technician? Is it as a manager? That's sort of what I heard, and I think that would be my answer. Is it takes a lot of observation and really looking at what those people are interested in and finding ways for them to translate that into business.